And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what?
China.
All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit, like God's property. It's hard to market, so we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. 'Cause when you got to drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping close hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the
This world and the next world are asymmetrical. The next world is where the majority of a person's actions, which determine his identity, are compensated. For the righteous, they exist in the world to come and they're rewarded. And for those whose major complexion is black, are excluded from the world to come.
We're going to take back our country, and we're going to make Israel great again, and we're going to make Israel great again,
and we're going to make Israel great again.
we're going to make America great again. We're going to make them both great again, greater than ever before. They don't pay rent, the city doesn't have, it's a chain of events that's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately. End immediately. You know, it'll end immediately. We are the party of common sense. I knew that once they had open borders, all of the countries, I didn't think about all over the world. I thought in South America, it's all over the world. Last week, a lot of people came in from the Congo, a big prison in the Congo in Africa. Welcome to the United States. They came in from the Congo. They came in from the Congo. They came in from the Congo.
Breaking news out of the White House right now. President Trump has once again announced a travel ban. Now, apparently this is similar to the one he enacted during his first term in office. We are still combing through a lot of the details here, but it looks like he just signed an executive order either restricting or limiting nationals from 12 different countries. They are, and we're reading this as we speak here, Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Congo, Equatorial New Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. And again, this is all just coming in from the White House right now. So we're combing through it. But apparently this looks like it may go into effect on Monday. We have also been told that the president has been considering this for some time, but has expedited this after the attack that we saw from a suspect in Boulder, Colorado. And so it does look like that timeline has been accelerated. Again, just looking through this pretty large release that just came from the White House. We're trying to gather a little bit more information, but he also appears to be restricting access from some other places, Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. Those are restrictions that distinguish between but apply to both the entry of immigrants and non-immigrants. So quite the number of countries. 12 countries are on this ban, and then 7 other countries will see limited restrictions as well. And then sections 2 and 3 of this proclamation apparently has to do with identity management. And he is saying that there were some identity management issues that have come up during this administration that he has found to be inadequate.
With the U.S. presidential elections fast approaching, declarations by the candidates are now coming in fast. Former President and the Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has now that if he is elected to the White House, he would revoke the temporary protected status for the Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio.
In Springfield, what's happening there is horrible. You have a beautiful community, 52,000 people, and about 30,000 people were put into that community rapidly, and the community is so nice and they want to be so politically correct. You have to remove the people. You cannot destroy, we cannot destroy our country. You had a beautiful, safe community. Everyone's in love with everybody. Everything was nice. It was like a picture community. And all of a sudden, in a short period of time, they have 32,000 more people in there. They are, in my opinion, it's not legal. It's not legal for anybody to do. It's not even on a human basis. It's not acceptable to the people that are there, and certainly to the people that are in Springfield. Springfield is such a beautiful place. Have you seen what's happened to it? It's been overrun. You can't do that to people. They have to be removed.
Let's be clear what this is. Trump is saying he's going to deport legal immigrants.
The cities, unfortunately, that are in trouble are all run by Democrats. You have radical left Democrats running cities like Chicago and so many others that we just had a news conference. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. I mean, that's the facts. When you look at Chicago and you look at the job, Mayor Lightfoot sent me a letter yesterday, and I think in their own way they want us to go in. There'll be a time when they're going to want us to go in full blast, but right now we're sending extra people to help. Chicago is a disaster. The mayor is saying don't come in. The mayor is telling us not to come in. At some point we can void that if we have to, but we may have to at some, because it's out of control. I assume she's saying that for political reasons. I think it's negative political reasons. She's a Democrat. I'm going to be nice. She's a Democrat. She's making a big mistake. People are dying in Chicago and other cities, and we can solve the problem. They have to ask us, but we can solve the problem.
Well, you saw he mentioned Mayor Lori Lightfoot a number of times, and the mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, joins me now. Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. Give me your reaction to the president. I understand that you two spoke after those remarks.
You know, the president's remarks are politics. You know, obviously he's in the fight for his survival. So I'm not surprised that he is targeting Democratic mayors, whether it's me, whether it's Keisha Lance Bottoms, Jenny Durkin in Seattle, or Muriel Bowser in Washington, D.C. But it doesn't change the fact that we do not want unconstitutional, secret federal agents coming into our cities, grabbing our residents and detaining them and violating their rights.
Hitler was, and the Nazis, of course, expanded on Margaret Sanger's approach to eugenics, right? Eugenics was a movement that was born in the United States under hard doctrines of racism with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African-American community in this country, right? To eliminate them. With the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah, with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African American community in this country, right? To eliminate them.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact,
Want to say peace and blessings to everyone. I want to start off by saying breaking news. This is breaking news. Breaking news. And Benaya and myself, we are going to unpack it here. Breaking news. Now, I know you see the topic here is 12 tribes banned, and we're going to elaborate on that more. And family, there is so much that is going on that we need to be aware of, and we have to just really understand that we've been warned about this, and we just have to really start educating ourselves properly to where we are. But now I'm going to go ahead and let you jump on in.
Hey, peace and blessings, family. Hey, Pastor Kelly, man, this is crazy, man. I don't believe that people realize the deck of cards that he's playing with right now, like the president, and so I guess you can call it really the powers that be, because this has been going on beyond this current administration. This has been going on for a while, but I think what we're seeing now is a lot of this stuff is coming to fruition, and it's amazing that it's coming into fruition this day and age and this time, especially with all the stuff that's going on in the world. But yeah, I think, like you were saying, Pastor Kelly, like this here, family, some of this may have gone over people's heads because it wasn't executed in one step. This was executed in multiple steps. So what Pastor Kelly was showing on the screen, like this is just one step of like multiple steps that's taking place. And it's just that when this step dropped, you could see it really brought into focus like what was going on. Like the Israel at large needs to be aware of what's going on. So yeah, I don't want to get ahead of your presentation, Pastor Kelly, but it's some crazy stuff, man.
And really, I didn't have time to really put together a lengthy presentation.
Yeah.
Actually, I just put this one on a PowerPoint slide here together, just so that way the people could see what's going on. And I'm gonna modify it a little bit, edit it while we, on the fly here. But I just wanted to highlight a key point for the people, guys. What you see on your screen, this is from the White House fact sheet. And this is based upon an executive order that is signed into place, right? And it says here, fact sheet, President Donald J. Trump restricts entry of foreign nationals to protect the United States from foreign terrorists and other national security and public safety threats. All right. So, and before we get started, I see someone trying to jump in. Family, this is not an open live discussion tonight. So we'll do that another time, just to keep it simple, and so that way we can stay on target with the discussion. So I'm not going to bring anyone else in outside of those that have been invited. So just want to make that clear because I see someone sitting in the back. All right. So, but nevertheless, let me read this again. Fact sheet. President Donald J. Trump restricts the entry of foreign nationals to protect the United States from foreign terrorists and other national security and public safety threats. And this is a bullet here. And I'm going to clean this up a little bit as we progress in. I may drop a couple of slides here. But Trump's executive order 14161. And this is just a bullet here. And the reason why a lot stands out here, now I'll let Benaya elaborate on it here, because initially he was like, hey, we got to do a live, and I understand why, because initially I didn't plan on doing a live, and we discussed it literally about an hour and a half ago, Benaya.
Right.
And he's like, cause we got to do a live. I was like, oh, okay. All right. So I immediately put some clips together that you saw. And then I went on and tried to put at least a page that we can kind of build around. And I may pull some other stuff into it as we progress. But on your screen, what you see, this is a bullet from the overall document that you see here, the source here. It says, the proclamation fully restricts and limits the entry of nationals from 12 countries found to be deficient with regards of screening and vetting and determined to pose a very high risk to the United States. And they name countries here: Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. These are very important, guys. So, Benai, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, and I'm going to do a couple of things while you're speaking. I'm going to put some things inside this slide so that way I can have it available. So that way, if you have additional things that you may see or I may see, you'll be able to elaborate on it.
Yeah, and like you were saying, I mean, like we were saying earlier, Pastor Kelly, it's like because this was done in steps, you may have missed it. So you'll see countries like Libya, you'll see countries like Sudan. Well, those should look familiar because two steps before this step was that, you heard of, President Trump was deporting people, right? He was deporting the Cubans, and then he was deporting the Venezuelans, right? And he was kind of deporting all these other ethnicities and stuff like this, right? Where were they deporting these people to? Guess what? They were deporting them, and this was I would call it a relatively new dynamic of the deportation, because at first they were just trying to send them over to Venezuela or some of these other American, Central American countries or South American countries. But all of a sudden, he started wanting to send them to Libya, send them to Africa. And the two countries that, at least the ones that were first, front and foremost in my mind, was they were sending them to Libya. They were sending them to Sudan. And so, like I said, you have to follow the steps. Deportation, taking people, and now for the purpose of this, we're going to ignore who's being deported at this point in time, because I think another thing that the black community is getting sucked into is that we're sitting on the sideline, we're saying, well, man, they were just messing with those with the Mexicans, so they're not messing with us. They're messing with those Venezuelans. They're not messing with us. So we're not going to say anything. They're messing with those Cubans. They're not messing with us. We're not going to say anything. And you all have seen the FOA, right? Social media memes and videos and chats and stuff going around with black folks saying, I'm just going to sit on the side and just watch this thing going. And hey, I'm not saying jump in or do anything, but what I'm saying is that you could be next. And what's pointing to the black folks being next is, one, when they started deporting people to Africa, the cackles on the back of black folks' necks should have been standing up at that point. Like, what, to Africa? They're forcing people to go to Africa, because you got to know, family, by the time it's time for us to leave this place, there's going to be a lot of people that's going to be kicking and screaming that's not going to want to go. They're going to want to go down with the ship. But it looks like there's going to be a policy in place to grab folks by the neck and take them up out of here, whether they like it or not. But this policy, family, the first step of the policy was to deport people to Libya, to Sudan. Now, get this. Imagine being snatched up off the street, because that's another thing that's going around. People are just getting randomly just snatched up. People are coming up missing, and there's no email, no text, no phone. They don't get a phone call, no nothing. All of a sudden, they're at the grocery store, and then a van pulls up, snatching people, put them on a military plane, going across the transatlantic, right, and just going to whatever destination they're going to, and then they're taking them to Libya and Sudan. That was step one. Step two is that now once they are there, now there's this in place that says you can't come back. I'll say it again, family. Once they're there, there's this travel restriction that says you can't come back. There's there's no you guys can't come in. That's why I'm saying, like, these two things are even though they seem separate, they're the same. And then in addition to that, family, and I'm not sure, Pastor Kelly, if I'm able to share a screen or two. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, let me know when you're ready, and I'll go ahead and share your screen. As you see, I'm kind of, trying to clean this slide up a little bit so that way, if there's something else on this actual slide that you want to touch on, that we want to touch on, because it's more to it, family. We can't go through all of it, but we will definitely drop the link. Well, actually, the link may be pretty lengthy, but we'll drop it so that way you guys can go back on your leisure and read over it. But it's really important for you guys to really know what's going on.
Yeah.
But let me know when you're ready, and I'll go ahead and bring you in.
Yeah, I do have it in the share screen.
All right.
So if you're able to
switch over,
that'd be perfect. So I got a couple of things. One of the things I wanted to share with you, family, is I wanted to share with you like where these places are is important as well. Like, and I know it's blurry. I know this is one of my old videos, and you may remember this guy, Pastor Kelly, but he was one of the he's I guess a native African, right? And he was giving like this overview of one of the paths that Israel took, when they came from what we call the Middle East. And so he was breaking down the path. He speaks in French, so you're not going to really understand what he's talking about. But one of the things he did, and this was early on, was he showed the path of where Israel went, like from Egypt down south, then to the west coast of Africa. Now, you've heard me say this multiple occasions, family. Our people have taken, multiple paths to get to the west coast of Africa. And not only that, we came there at different stages and different times. So over time, we took different paths, got there. Some got there during the time of the Saracens, some got there during when they were expelled from Spain to Portugal, like I would review in some of these videos, right? And what he's going to talk about one of the earlier migrations of Israel, from that area. And I'm just not. Let's see if I can just play just a little bit of that. You might not hear the audio on here, but at the very least, I want you to see the map that he pulls up. And actually, I'm actually going to mute the map or mute the audio on this just so that you can see it. So when he pulls it up, all right, this is the map that I'm referring to. So the part in green, this is a place that's called So-Yuda. Like on old maps, you'll see it or hear it called So-Yudan. And maps that were a little bit after that, you'll see it called Negro Land. Negro Land on the maps probably go about to the, not all the way across, not all the way from the west to the east. It sometimes stops like right at Nubia. But So-Yudan and like the old maps go from coast to coast. And this is like from the same people. You'll see that there's green at the top. If you follow the two arrows, there's a green at the top, there's a green that goes down into Yemen. So remember, according to the oral traditions of the Limba, they migrated south into Yemen, right? Guess what? One of the places that is under that restriction, Yemen. Then the Limbas then say that our people then left Yemen and we went over to Africa. Well, right across the water in Africa is Eritrea or Eritrea. I know I'm mispronouncing that word, that nation, that country, but that too is on the list. Then as you make your way to what I call to the left or to the west, and again, I'm just pointing to this map just to show you that this is where the Israelites were said or understood to be. So this is his old map, but I'm going to show you another map just to confirm what he's talking about. Now, in this here, you can see where it says So-Yudan. So S-O-U-D-A-N. Again, it's stretching from east to west. This is what I was talking about, east to west, So-Yudan. And so these are Israelite Hebrew words. So, if certain Hebrew. So it can mean foreigner, right? And then Judan is a version of the word Judah or Judah. So foreigners of Judah, you can see stretches right across, and that the previous screen that we were looking at here, right across here. This is So Judan. This is a map, a different view of it, but it's calling it So Judan. Foreigners of Judah, all the way from left to right. And Eritrea and of course the modern day countries aren't listed on this map by name, but you can still see like Yemen would be all the way to the right. Eritrea, whatever that place is to right next to it. And then you get into Chad and Sudan and things like that. And those are the places that he's calling out in these travel bans. Why is he calling out places where the tribe of like Pastor Kelly had on the title of this thing? Why is he calling out the places where the 12 tribes were historically? That's major, family. That's major. And just to give you a couple of different other views. So this is what I was talking about as far as Negro land. You'll see Negro land right here. It doesn't go all the way to the east like So Judan does in some of the old maps. But you also know that Negro land is a place where the Israelites were, because we migrated across Africa, fleeing from persecution. So here's another map showing Negro land a little bit further to the east, right? These are just different maps of the same land. So wanted to show you that, family. And let me go back over to my map here. So this is the modern day map. Eritrea. That's what I was referring to. So here, let's go through Trump's countries. So we see Yemen, right? And that's Yemen right here. Actually, let me move this all the way over here, make it easier. Let me see. Did I lose my place? Oh, yeah, I pulled the wrong one over. Let's do this one. All right, so here we go. We got Yemen in the list going from right to left. You see Yemen right here. Then also on his list, he has Eritrea. Go on the list. You see Eritrea, right? He doesn't have So Judan on it, but So Judan was the one that Netanyahu, Miliminsky, his real name, where he was pushing the U.S. not only to go to war with Saddam Hussein, not only go to war with Iraq, but also to go to war with Sudan. I'm telling you, family, they know where we are. So this is where Netanyahu, Miliminsky, was pushing the U.S. to go to war with them. And this is where they are deporting people from the U.S. to a place called So, foreigners, Judan of Judah. They're deporting people to So, foreigners, Judan, the foreigners of Judah, to the land, right? That's where they're going. And they're saying once you get there, you can't come back. All right. So then also here he has Chad on here. Guess where Chad is? Right next to So Sudan. And then of course he has some other places on here because it's actually Sudan is on the map. So there is Sudan right here. And Equatorial Guinea. And I think Pastor Kelly, we was talking about this earlier. And Congo and Equatorial Guinea. These are the places where the slave trade were. Let's look at Equatorial Guinea and the Congo right here. And I was trying to find a map that listed Israelite locations over here, but I couldn't find it before.
Let me see if I may have mine. I'll look for it. I have one.
But there's some areas over here where Israelite settlements were, and they identified that in these old maps. But in either case, family, these are places where the Israelites are or were at some point in time. I would say, they still could be there, but sometimes due to persecution, our people had to end up leaving and fleeing to a certain place, different places. And then, of course, you have Iran, right? And we know about if you know about Queen Esther, and oh man, I forgot the king that Queen Esther married.
Xerxes.
No, it was this. I want to say.
Oh, you talking about with the scriptures, right?
Yeah, with the scriptures work.
Yeah, Xerxes. You're thinking of a different name, but it's still the same.
Okay.
His name is Xerxes.
Okay. Well, that was in Iran. So we do have a good portion of our people that's in Iran. Haiti is one of those places we haven't really talked about in history, but there's a people called the Jacobites that Most High will get into details into some of these in the future teachings. But Haiti is synonymous with Jacobites. They were actually people or Israelites that were over in Ireland. That over in England and Ireland, they were having a civil war or war of sorts. Ireland lost all the brown skinned people of Ireland, and yes, they were brown skinned. And there was a mass deportation of the Irish, the black brown Irish. And we know that they were black brown because we have the manifest that describes them as black and brown. They sent them over to that place called Haiti. So our people are in Haiti, heavily. I think, I'd say most of those folks in Haiti are Israelites. So again, family, you can see the theme here. All these places are places where the Israelites were. I'm not too familiar with Myanmar. I haven't done the research on that. Afghanistan, I hadn't really dug into that all that much. But I will tell you, like places like Libya, hadn't dug into Somalia just yet, but you do know that Libya is actually even in your Bible as far as destinations for our people. They are touching, family. I'm telling you, they are touching places where we were or are. Because if anybody knows where our people are today, they do. So like I said, because just gonna definitely want to bring this up to Israel's attention that he's placing travel restrictions on these places, out of all the places in the world, on these places, and 12 countries. There's that 12 again.
Yeah.
There's 12 countries.
And because while I'm doing this, because I don't have me, I could take the back seat while you're piloting this thing, this plane, while I'm pulling a couple of things out. Talk to them about the restrictions, because I don't think people really understand the magnitude of this, because we have brothers and sisters that are over in these territories, right? Some of these territories, the Congo family, for example, Nigeria. And you heard inside the video that I played, and I may play it again. Oh, so you got the map there already. I was looking for that map.
Yeah.
So you guys already know that many of our brothers and sisters are over in Africa, went to multiple different places, and I want to say this, I'm going to say this term, this is not throwing shots at anyone, but I just have to mention it. I'm not going to bite my tongue, but I want to make it clear. We're not here trying to throw shots at anyone, but based upon this, the second Exodus doctrine, right? Based upon the second Exodus, many of our brothers and sisters began to go to these places, right? Many places, right? And so because of that, not really understanding the magnitude of what's going on, let's just say they're over there, they have a family emergency back here. The Congo is not just Nigeria. It's a large area consisting of a number of countries, but there's others, as you see on the list. So your benefits, or should I say your privileges that you may have here, right, as a citizen, even though we're getting suppressed here, you go, those that are over there, you may not be able to come back over here. And those that are being forced, like Benaiah pointed out, we're being forced to these different areas because the way things are, they're picking up brothers and sisters. They could pick you up right off the streets right now and send you to one of these places. And guess what? You will now be treated not as an Israelite, not as a brother or sister. You're going to be treated as an outsider looking in, and they're going to have you or have them inside these holding facilities, like what you're reading about what's currently happening. And the thing that the workaround is, oh, they out of the country. We can't make another country do or follow our policies. They have their own set of policies. So go ahead, Benai. I turn it over to you.
No. That's right on point, Pastor Kelly, because we was talking about this too. It's like you have to keep in mind what Pastor, to land back on what Pastor Kelly was saying. Like over here in the States, we have, quote unquote, these civil rights, of course, that they're trying to roll back. But we have these civil rights. We have certain protections. But the moment and this is what they're doing. This is the insidiousness of what they're doing, family. They're snatching people and they're putting them on these planes and they're sending them over to places, to these countries where the moment they get on the ground, there are no rights, no civil rights, no civil liberties, right? And as Pastor Kelly and I we were kind of talking off camera, we were like, man, it's almost as if they're turning them back into, turning them into slaves. Because imagine if you go over to a place and there's nothing protecting their rights, and they're up, their well-being and their, the way they're treated is up to the local communities or the local government. There's no telling how they'll be treated. Now, not to fearmonger or anything like that, because we all believe in the Most High. We believe that the Most High is going to take care of us. Grant us grace and mercy wherever we go. So just want to put that out there as well, because just don't want to, start fear mongering or anything like that. But it's just the truth of the matter is, truth of the matter, as far as what they're trying to do, is they're trying to send people to countries where they don't have any rights. And then once they get there, the U.S. is on their side. They're putting up this stop sign of saying, once you're there, you can't come back. Like, to me, like those two things back to back, I was like, whoa, family, y'all need to be preparing for this. Not that I'm not saying march or anything like that, because I'm definitely saying stay out them streets, because that's also part of I think that the thing that they're trying to get our community to do is to get out there and protest and stuff like that, tear stuff up, and give them a reason, to go to or implement stage 2, on their wicked, evil agenda. But what I'm saying, family, is there's some preparation that you probably will want to seriously think about doing, and hopefully Most High will, coming up, we'll definitely dig into that preparation. I know, shameless plug, in the African Israelite Justice Foundation with the upcoming conference, that's definitely going to be a major talking point that we're going to do at the conference. And that is, talk about current events, of course, but then talk about what we need to do to protect ourselves, because this train is going to leave the station one way or another, because prophecy has to come to pass. It has to, family. So I know.
And one thing to add to that too, a key point, family. No matter what country we go to, right, outside of the United States, you are going to be an immigrant, right? If you guys get a chance, Eshawn Burgundy, he did a video about, he and his wife, they did a video about 3 years ago about their experience of transitioning and moving to Africa. And they had to go to multiple countries, right? And he just gave a real all-out layout of what they had to go through. It was not filled with any fluff. It wasn't this thing, we just going to wait and see. The Most High got us covered. But what he shared was some of the things that they realized, that even at the lowest point here in the United States, over there, being that they're immigrants, they don't even have any type of coverage, from, let's just say, they have to leave the country due to passport and come back. He said they leave is no guarantee they could come back. Right? They could deny your passport. Something can happen with your children. They could separate you from your children. They could do a number of things. Right? They even said how going to certain places, you know, they didn't eat meat, but they had to start eating meat again because of, you know, the water, because of certain things. So family, this is not trying to deter you or discourage you. This is, again, wherever you are, whether you overseas, not just in Africa, but in Brazil and some of these different countries, we have to be aware of what's going on. And we cannot function with this. We're just going to wait on, we're going to wait. But when we think of wait, is we're going to be docile. We're going to put our head in the sand and we're just going to let everything happen. And we're just going to sit while things happening. No, that's not what the Most High called us to do. When we wait on Yahweh, right, we still have to function. We still have to move. We still have to do things. You know, you still have to secure whatever you need to secure. So this is where you really start understanding preparation, as Benaiah pointed out, you know, because again, you know, this is real, family. And you guys already know it. I've been playing the videos of this. I've been talking about this for almost a year, right? When the whole campaign began and I started hearing buzzwords, and I played the clips and I'll play a couple of them again, just so that way it's a reminder, a purge coming, and how they, like Benaiah pointed out, targeting us. Because surprisingly to some of you guys, some of the clips wasn't from his campaign. It was from his first term. His first term, he was sending out unidentified people with no names and all of that. He was sending ICE out to our communities in his first term. So we have to make sure that we are up to speed. And for those that are coming in for the first time, I know you probably hearing us dealing with this administration. We are not rocking with the Democrats. We're not rocking with the Republicans. We're not rocking with none of them. When the pandemic was at the height, you guys that have been following me all this time, we went in on the Biden administration. Am I right? Cuz we went in. We had videos being banned and everything. I was in YouTube jail all the time. So those coming in, don't make the assumption that we're trying to defend the Democrats, because we're not. We're not, whether it's Democrats, conservative, whatever. None of them care about our community. None of them. You have the floor, cuz.
Yeah, well, I just reiterate just really quick, Pastor Kelly, and that is just like I said, always looking at patterns, family. I'm always trying to find things that because trying to decode and decrypt, what's going on, and just kind of reiterate just for the benefit of those that might be joining in late, and that is when the current administration dropped this this news that. Yeah, we're going to put a travel ban on 12 countries. And then the thing that was an eyebrow raiser, family, was the countries that he put the travel ban on. Because there's a thing, especially when you're familiar with history, there's a territory where our people, the Israelites, were known to be. And the truth of us, our forefathers being in those places, can even be found in the name, and of course it's changed over time. And like what you see on the screen, you'll see Soudan. You'll see but the letters are kind of spaced out. But Soudan. That's an older way of spelling it. Like it said, Soul means foreigner, and Udan means Judah, foreigners of Judah. But this is right across that midsection of Africa. If I zoom back out, right below the Sahara Desert. This is where our people came down from Egypt, went across over to the west coast of Africa. This is just one of the many migration paths that our forefathers took. And our forefathers were known to be in this area. known to be in this area. And that's why these cartographers, these map makers labeled it the way that they labeled it. And knowing that our people were in these areas, when we go back and we look at the this travel ban, and you see things like Chad, Eritrea, Yemen, Sudan, Libya, right? You can easily come back over to this map, and you can basically go from left to right across the Sudan. And in this case, you're going to include Yemen here, which is outside of that map. But you have Yemen, and then Eritrea, then you have Sudan, then you have Chad. Like these three right in a row. It's right in the Sudan. Travel ban. And like we were saying before, family, travel ban means, in conjunction with that deportation, deport folks over into Sudan, which is what they're doing. And once they get there, travel ban, you can't come back. So don't want to belabor the point, but just wanted to bring that to your attention, family. Definitely, pray about it. See what the Most High, if He wants you to make any preparations or anything like that. But yeah, this is definitely something that I think a lot of people miss because it was broken up, as far as like the way that it was implemented.
Yeah. And also to add to what you pointed out, what's on the table that has been discussed early on with the way that things are going with immigration was also the not ruling out criminals, those that get in, that's in jail, whether you're a citizen or not. If you're in jail, you can be deported. In literally trying to work out agreements with some of these countries in Africa, some of these places to send our brothers and sisters that may be that are incarcerated into these jails, and then now deport you. And you could go to Yah knows where. You don't even have to do anything wrong. You can just be walking down the street. You have people, far as that are actually in graduation. I'm reading articles about kids being in graduation, or someone in the hospital, someone in their assembly worshiping, child walking to school and just disappear. A 16-year-old kid walking to school and just disappear, and now it's been held in a pretty much a maximum security prison. Even if they let them go, just the psychological damage that it does. So this is real, family. We're, again, like Benaya pointed out, we're not here trying to fearmonger, do any fear mongering here or anything like that. But we are doing exactly what we are called to do as watchmen. We are responsible for sounding the alarm. So when the threat comes, if no one does anything, then the blood is not on our hand. So this is why we want to do this live here, because it is important. This is just not a coincidence. Not a coincidence.
Just interject really quick, Pastor Kelly, because you were talking about, the arresting of our youth. I mean, to land back on that, I mean, that they've gotten rid of the Federal Civil Rights Division, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like a division that would normally, monitor that and make sure that the citizens aren't being, taken advantage of. They pulled that. So that, like I said, these were done in steps, family. Then I guess it was an executive order or something like that empowered the police officers. It removed accountability. So like you were saying, Pastor Kelly, young man could be walking down the street, and all of a sudden, you could have nefarious individuals who just say it that way, actors, not being held accountable, and just doing things to our to the Black community. So it's interesting, Pastor Kelly, and it's interesting that you also mentioned like a watchman on the wall. because I don't know if you all ever saw some of those old movies where you literally had a watchman on the wall, somebody that was looking over across the horizon and watching the enemy movements. And basically, family, they were reporting everything. Like, hey, they got a platoon moving to the left, and they're camping. I mean, they're calling out everything, right, family? Oh, they're leaving the battlefield, right? Just so that the people on the inside knows, to like Pastor Kelly was saying, knows exactly what's going on, right? We see them. The worst thing that a watchman can do is see a battalion or an army approaching and not sound any alarms, not raise any concerns. Just sit there and watch it, watch it advance, right, to the detriment of the tribe. So, but yeah, it's very interesting, Pastor Kelly. It'll be definitely we'll be watching this one for sure.
Yeah, and again, like Benaiah pointed out, for those that came late, I'll play this video again. And we'll bring up the article. I'm busy in the background. I got it cleaned up, and then we'll share a couple of passages just to kind of close out with the scripture, tie it into the scriptures, so that way you can see these scriptures are real, as Benaiah pointed out. I was going to share some slides about that whole area of the Congos and show you some Hebraic names, but Benaiah already did a great job at doing that, so I don't want to, double back on that. But any other things you want to share, present before I switch over, Benaiah?
No, that's it, Pastor Kelly.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put this back on the screen. All right, family. So what I did here, let me back it up a little bit. I was a little busy here trying to clean up this slide here. So for those that just joined, this link here is too large to put inside the chat, so that's why I didn't drop it there. But it's fact sheet. President Donald Trump restricts the entry of foreign nationals to protect the United States from foreign terrorists and other national security and public safety threats. All right. And so this is the section that I highlighted here because we started off reading this passage here, this bullet here, which is this section right here. But as Benaiah pointed out, and I'll just read it again, it says, the proclamation fully restricts and limits the entry of nationals from 12 countries found to be deficient with regards to screening and vetting and determined to pose a very high risk to the United States. Afghanistan, right? These are the countries: Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of the Congo. And I may pull that slide out just so you guys can see it. I'll see. Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen, right? And then down here, you see these guys have restrictions, but it's partial, it's limits on it, right? But it's still restrictions, and it's 7. You see Burundi, Cuba, and understand Cuba was part of the slave trade. Havana, right? I learned a lot about my grandfather on my mother's side that I've never met, but I'm told that I look like him, and Havana, right? But anyway, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. Excuse me if I'm butchering the name, a little tongue tied here, reading some of these. But this is important, family, as Benaiah laid out. This is not just happenstance. And guess what supposedly triggered this executive order? The situation in Colorado, where there was a situation with the guy with that I guess assaulted a couple. I think it was 3 or 4. Some people. Well, I'll just say so because I don't know the full specs on that, but assaulted some some ish out there, some I'll just say it like that. Some name stealers out there, and this triggered this right here. I think it was on the news. Let me pull it up. So because I don't want to misquote it, but it was a guy that's supposedly been supporting Gaza, and I believe he's part of that community out there, and he harassed some of those guys. Right. Let me just see if I can pull it up here.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if that's the case, Pastor Kelly, because it makes you wonder.
Colorado. Oh, sorry, Benai, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it makes you wonder. Then why would they come to the African countries? Like, was the guy from Africa?
Well, think about it, right? Many don't remember, right? With the 911, with the Twin Towers. I was there. I was living up in that area, and I remember when those towers went down. I was up there. I witnessed watching one of them go down. And I remember I was watching television because you couldn't talk on your cell phone. That was blacked out. And I remember watching the television with the news, and it went to the screen showed a bombing occurring in Afghanistan, even though they said it was Iraq, Saddam and those guys, the Taliban, right? But we were bombing Afghanistan immediately. And then it just went off the screen. I never forget watching that. Because I'm like, okay, wait a minute. You know what I mean? How are we bombing Afghanistan if they're saying that the attacks came from Iraq? So everything is calculated. Everything is calculated. And if you go back and watch some of my videos, and I'm going to create a special playlist, and I'm going to dump all those videos I did about what was going on with Trump. I even did a video showing the playbook, all with the stuff with the universities. He started putting that in place back in his first administration. Everything that you see was already laid out in his first administration. So it's a well-calculated plan. So if you notice, every time something happened to us, who jumps in and put their stuff on top of it? When the thing happened in was it Buffalo, New York? Remember the Buffalo, New York shooting? I remember watching the news, and I did a live on it. And guess who jumped in and made the conversation about them? So they have a strategy. So everything that they do, everything that happens is going to come back to them. You know, you don't see countries being shut down for anyone that have murdered our brothers and sisters on the street. So with this situation, and I have it up here, I'm just going to read from it, but this is a fire attack, right? It was a fire attack that occurred in Colorado, where the suspect was charged with attempted murder. And he did a makeshift flamethrower that I'm reading here. It says, suspect in Colorado attack on Israeli hostage advocates charged with attempted murder. The attacker used a makeshift flamethrower and yelled, "Free Palestine," the FBI says. 8 people were hospitalized. And it goes on to say, let me see here. It says the state Colorado's charges against Mohammed Sabri Solomon, he was 45 years old, from El Paso County, include attempted first-degree murder after deliberation attempted first-degree murder with extreme indifference, first-degree assault, including such against an anti-risk victim older than 70, and possession of an incendiary device. His name, it says here, let me seeing if there's anything else here. It says the U.S. Attorney for Colorado also charged Solomon with 1 count of hate crime involving actual or perceived race, religion, or national origin. And I'm going to look it up because lot of times what they say, they'll put all these things out in the media, but when you actually go to what's charged, it's nowhere near what they said that they're going to charge him with, right? But I'm going to follow this. But nevertheless, that's what this situation is. This person, this perpetrator or whatever, committed an assault with a makeshift flamethrower. And it also says here, according to the DHS, Solomon entered the country in August 2022 on a B-2 visa and then filed for asylum in September 2022, while his visa expired in February 2023. Solomon had not yet exhausted all legal options to stay in the U.S. So, that's what who this guy is. That's what the situation is. So I'll play the clip real quick so that way you guys can hear it, and then you'll hear how they'll tie it into the Colorado situation. Here we go. And then you guys can, then Benai, you could elaborate on it as well. Then we'll wrap it up here. Let's see here. Thought I had it here. Oh, here it is. Now listen closely, family. He's going to also mention identity management. And he's going to also mention Colorado.
Breaking news out of the White House right now. President Trump has once again announced a travel ban. Now, apparently this is similar to the one he enacted during his first term in office. We are still combing through a lot of the details here, but it looks like he just signed an executive order either restricting or limiting nationals from 12 different countries. They are, and we're reading this as we speak here, Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Congo, Equatorial New Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. And again, this is all just coming in from the White House right now. So we're combing through it. But apparently this looks like it may go into effect on Monday. We have also been told that the president has been considering this for some time, but has expedited this after the attack that we saw from a suspect in Boulder, Colorado. And so it does look like that timeline has been accelerated. Again, just looking through this pretty large release that just came from the White House. We're trying to gather a little bit more information, but he also appears to be restricting access from some other places. Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. Those are restrictions that distinguish between but apply to both the entry of immigrants and non-immigrants. So quite the number of countries. 12 countries are on this ban, and then 7 other countries will see limited restrictions as well. And then sections 2 and 3 of this proclamation apparently has to do with identity management. And he is saying that there were some identity management issues that have come up during this administration that he has found to be inadequate.
So many buzzwords, right? Identity management. He also mentioned the situation in Boulder. What are your thoughts, cuz? That identity management really struck a nerve with me.
Yeah, and it's interesting because in a lot of these cases, the pattern is whenever an attack of stature occurs, they always have a catchphrase that they're saying. And the reason why I say that is because even like when they were trying to, when folks were trying to, the opposition is always trying to pin violence, or stuff to our community. And the way that they do it is they'll have some random act of violence, and then they'll have a statement from somebody. I mean, it's always kind of tough to find like who actually made the statement. You know what I mean? But they'll just say a statement from somebody that said, "Yeah, when he was doing the dastardly deed, he yelled out Black Power. You know what I mean? Like it was always some sort of catchphrase to identify who it was that did it, right? So whenever I see stuff like this and there's a catchphrase that's yelled out during the crime, I'm suspicious of it because that sort of tactic was used against our community.
Absolutely. And what is one of the things during the Red Summer, that's the time of over 36 of our communities were burnt down to the ground, 1918, especially when you deal with that whole 3-year period. And even to stir up, so to speak, the good old boys, it was always during then, he or the kid looked at a white woman a certain way, or raped a white girl. It was always something along that line that would kind of rally up the boys, so to speak, to take certain actions. That was the whole thing with Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Black Wall Street. That was the whole thing that triggered that was supposedly a white woman was on the elevator and she got touched. Mm-hmm. So instead of just locking that person up, they used that opportunity to decimate an entire community. Took the land that was very rich with oil. They thought it was a dump, basically. But they took an entire land that they thought was a dump initially, and make a long story short, we know the rest is history, and took it. They hijacked it. So they had to use something to rally behind. And when you study, the crafty counsel, the 83rd book of Psalms, right, you'll see the word tumult, right? And the Hebrew is Hama, right? Hama means war cry. And when you understand a war cry, it's coming up with slogans and words that can rally a people with an effort or a goal of war against whomever they deem to be their adversary. And guess who's the adversary? It's us. So everything is centered around us, from DEI, even though we are at the lowest end of the totem pole that benefited from it. But everything that you see is our face is being placed on it. Any thoughts, Benaiah?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're able to share the screen or not, Pastor Kelly, but I did find an article. It's by pbs.org. And this one has to do with, to your point, right, where, let's take this guy, for instance, that did, you played the clip of the guy that tried to, I guess set people on fire or whatnot. And then the news anchor made the statement that, well, because of this, that's the Trump administration is he's pushing these, these restrictions on these countries. Well, to your point, Pastor Kelly, you can see in this article, let me scroll to the top just so that you can see the name of the articles. This is PBS News, what we know about the man charged in the attack in Boulder, Colorado. So if you go all the way down to who is Solomon, it says Solomon was born in Egypt. Was Egypt on any of those restricted countries? No. He was born in Egypt. So then why are they restricting these other 12 countries? It says he was born in Egypt and he moved 3 years ago to Colorado Springs, where he lived with his wife and 5 children, according to the state document. He previously spent 17 years and living in Kuwait. Was Kuwait on that list? No. And it says the Department of Homeland Security said Solomon filed for asylum in September 2022 and has been living in the U.S. illegally since his visa expired February 2023. Was he picked up by ICE? No. And then it says Solomon worked as an Uber driver and he passed the company's eligibility requirements and included criminal background checks. You can hear all that stuff, family. But the point is, families, like to Pastor Kelly's point is, they're saying that this guy who's an Egyptian, did this heinous act, right? This crime. and that because this Egyptian did this heinous act, Trump is then limiting or putting restrictions on black countries. And this is a
Turk, Arab type,
an Arab, a white Arab, a palm colored Arab. I mean, make that make sense, family. So I mean, like you were saying, Pascal, it's like it's just, it really comes across as them just having an excuse to do what they want to do. Even though they know that the dots don't connect, right? We just need an excuse. We know that this guy's not a black guy. We know that this guy's not from, Somalia or from Sudan or from Chad, from Yemen, from none of those countries. But because he did this dastardly deed, we're going to tie him into these countries that were part of the Negro land and part of the Sudan to implement this policy against, like you were saying, the 12 tribes, because this is the place where the tribes of Israel were located. So it's some crazy stuff, Pascal.
Absolutely. And family, let me play this clip here just to tie it in. Because I did say that, just so to let you guys know that this was a plan already in place well in advance. But I'll play a couple of clips here, then I'll highlight a couple of things and we'll wrap it up. But I just want you guys to just really pay attention. And man, this is real. This is real. So this is the clip from his first term. I'll play it again, the Chicago trip. This is from his first term. And also, I think I have another one here. Let's see here. Yeah, I have two here that's from his first term. Let me make sure here. If I can't find, I'll just play one. I'll just play the one from earlier, the purge that he has going on. Here we go.
The cities, unfortunately, that are in trouble are all run by Democrats. You have radical left Democrats running cities like Chicago and so many others that we just had a news conference. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. I mean, that's the facts. When you look at Chicago and you look at the job, Mayor Lightfoot sent me a letter yesterday, and I think in their own way they want us to go in. There'll be a time when they're going to want us to go in full blast, but right now we're sending extra people to help. Chicago is a disaster. The mayor is saying don't come in. The mayor is telling us not to come in. At some point we can void that if we have to, but we may have to at some, because it's out of control. I assume she's saying that for political reasons. I think it's negative political reasons. She's a Democrat. I'm going to be nice. She's a Democrat. She's making a big mistake. People are dying in Chicago and other cities, and we can solve the problem. They have to ask us, but we can solve the problem.
Well, you saw he mentioned Mayor Lori Lightfoot a number of times, and the mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, joins me now. Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. Give me your reaction to the president. I understand that you two spoke after those remarks.
The president's remarks are politics. Obviously he's in the fight for his survival. So I'm not surprised that he is targeting Democratic mayors, whether it's me, whether it's Keisha Lance Bottoms, Jenny Durkin in Seattle, or Muriel Bowser in Washington, D.C. But it doesn't change the fact that we do not want unconstitutional, secret federal agents coming into our cities, grabbing our residents and detaining them and violating their rights.
All right. Can you still hear me, cuz? Looked like it went out on me.
No.
Right.
We heard everything.
Okay. All right. So that's his first term. I have other clips. I'm not going to play them all, but that's his first term. Okay. And this is what he said about the immigrants. I'm going to play the Nigerian, but I want to kind of walk you into it, right? When he was doing this particular one about purging, having a purge day, he was dealing with immigrations, but then to close out everything, he landed on the Nigerians. So listen to what he said about the Nigerians. This is now his campaign back in the summer. This is him promoting Violent Day. This is him saying, make Israel great again, make America great again. Here we go. I'm going to start off with the Make America Great Again, then Trump Violent Day, and then we'll play the Nigerian immigrants. Here we go.
We're going to take back our country, and we're going to make Israel great again, and we're going to make Israel great again.
And we're going to make Israel great again.
We're going to make America great again. We're going to make them both great again, greater than ever before.
They don't pay rent. The city doesn't have it's a chain of events. It's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately. End immediately. You know, it'll end immediately. We are the part.
With the U.S. presidential.
They don't pay rent. The city doesn't have it's a chain of events. It's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately. End immediately. You know, it'll end immediately. We are the party of common sense. I knew that once they had open borders, all of the countries, I didn't think about all over the world. I thought in South America, it's all over the world. Last week, a lot of people came in from the Congo, a big prison in the Congo in Africa. Welcome to the United States. They came in from the Congo. They came in from the Congo. They came in from the Congo.
With the U.S. presidential elections fast approaching, declarations by the candidates are now coming in fast. Former President and the Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has now that if he is elected to the White House, he would revoke the temporary protected status for the Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio.
In Springfield, what's happening there is horrible. You have a beautiful community, 52,000 people, and about 30,000 people were put into that community rapidly, and the community is so nice and they want to be so politically correct. You have to remove the people. We cannot destroy our country. You had a beautiful, safe community. Everyone's in love with everybody. Everything was nice. It was like a picture community. And all of a sudden, in a short period of time, they have 32,000 more people in there. They are, in my opinion, it's not legal. It's not legal for anybody to do. It's not even on a human basis. It's not acceptable to the people that are there, and certainly to the people that are in Springfield. Springfield is such a beautiful place. Have you seen what's happened to it? It's been overrun. You can't do that to people. They have to be removed.
Let's be clear what this is. Trump is saying he's going to deport legal immigrants.
Saying this crash was somehow caused and the result. Saying this crash was somehow caused and the result of diversity hiring. And what evidence have you seen to support these claims?
It just could have been. We have a high standard. We've had a much higher standard than anybody else. And there are things where you have to go by brain power, you have to go by psychological quality, and psychological quality is a very important element of it. These are various very powerful tests that we put to use, and they were terminated by Biden, and Biden went by a standard that's the exact opposite. So we don't know, but we do know that you had two planes at the same level. You had a helicopter and a plane. That shouldn't have happened. And we'll see. We're going to look into that, and we're going to see. But certainly for an air traffic controller, we want the brightest, the smartest, the sharpest. We want somebody that's psychologically superior, and that's what we're going to have. Yeah.
That's why I think this United story and the DEI story hits so hard, because we've all been in the back of a plane when the turbulence hits, or when you're flying through a storm and you're like, I'm so glad I saw the guy with the right stuff and the square jaw get into the cockpit before we took off, and I feel better now.
No, I mean, like, you want to go thought crime? Like, I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Well, that's the you wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have. You wouldn't have done that before.
That's not an immediate.
No, you wouldn't have done that before.
That's not who I am. That's not what I believe.
It is the reality the left has created.
How is it possible that white men are the second biggest beneficiaries? It just blew my mind.
Did you find out why that was?
Well, I mean, it's hard to kind of track down because I don't have access to the statistics anymore. and I would have done a much deeper dive into them. But the reality is that when you're talking about diversity, so many people think white and black, and that's diversity. But talent is everywhere. It's in all kinds of overlooked communities. And white men happen to belong to some of those communities. So if you look at who benefits, white women, white men, Hispanics, Asians, Native Americans, disabled people, and that's not just people in wheelchairs, it's neuroatypical people, people on the spectrum, people who, are dyslexic, have the Spilkus, ADHD, followed by veterans, LGBTQ and alphabet people like me, and at the very bottom, black people.
There you go, cuz. I know I played a few additional videos just to kind of set it all up, just so that people understand exactly what's going on. Any comments as I go to this next slide?
Yeah, that's crazy. I know one of the videos you played dealt with the Springfield. So was that one where they were complaining about
the dogs and all that, eating the dogs and cats?
Oh, okay. Yeah, because people may not remember, but the Springfield massacre of
I know you get okay.
Because Springfield family, it used to be black. Have a sizable black community, and it's interesting especially when you hear things about said to the effect of, oh yes, it's a beautiful community, it's a nice community, and this can never happen. Well, the way that they made that community the way it is the Springfield 1908 race riot, and it's like, I got the article pulled up, and it talks about, it says, resurfacing a history of extreme racial violence faced by black communities. In August 1908, a large white mob attacked the black community in Springfield, Illinois. Rioters destroyed homes and businesses and lynched 2 men. The event led to the founding of the National Association of the Advancement of Colored People. So the NAACP was founded because of the violence that happened in Springfield, Illinois. And it says, today, archaeological evidence gives a rare glimpse into a community devastated by the race riots of the early 20th century. So, yeah, it's just interesting, Fanny. And I guess it actually also speaks to the hiding of the history, because, people tend to kind of cherry pick things from history, especially when the history is dark. When it comes to our history here. So yeah, it's just a very interesting comment by the president. I didn't realize he had made those comments. So yeah, good post, Pascal.
Appreciate it, Benaya. And family, just to what Benaya pointed out earlier, just these maps here. This is Hausaland. This is a map showing how King Leopold and the Brits, Spain, all those guys, when you start getting into the, what is it called? The, now I can't even think about the conference. Is it the Belfort Conference? Not the Belfort. I got it here.
The Balfour.
Yeah, no, it's the yeah, they had a conference, Berlin Conference.
Okay,
that's what it is. I'm trying to remember it, but yeah, this is when they had the Berlin Conference, and this is where you start getting into 20 million, upwards of 20 million of our brothers and sisters murdered in the Congos. But this gives you an idea, family. When you look here, this is a lot of land. This is a large piece of land. And this is not doing it justice, this particular backdrop. But to Benaya's point, you see Adamawa, right? Adama, right? You know what I mean? Just showing you some of the Hebrew terms here that you would see. All right. But this is the actual map, and this is part of the Congos. All of this is part of the Congos. It's not just that one little section of Nigeria. All of this, they created these names. You see Cameroon over here. If you look over here to the left, you'll see Dahomey. This is getting into Ouida, the Gold Coast. All of that is part of the Congo, right? That is being restricted. Okay, it's larger than what you see on this map, but as you see again, Adamawa, right? Here's another map. So this is all Congo right here. All of this area, right? All of this area. But they also named other parts that's dealing with up in this area. It's they in East Africa. I mean, they is very well calculated, as Benaiah pointed out. But just real quick, just part of the Congos. These are some of the names that you guys recognize. You see Rabat, you see Sad, which this territory Sada. We see Adamawa, right, which is actually the Adama. You see Yaakov, right here. You see Bambara, right, which actually Bambara comes from the word Dabara, this is a Hebrew tribe, which the Asian language comes from Hebrew, because this Bambara, getting into the ancient Hebrew. Not going to do that tonight, but just wanted to give you guys a visual, as Benaiah points out, to land back off of what he pointed out, right? But just so you guys can get a visual that these maps, right, sheds a lot of light on. They know exactly who we are. They know like Benaiah pointed out, with the Limba, with the Yemen, the Yemenite ancient Israelites, the true Israelites. I'm gonna just say it like that, because I do have images, and I put it inside the post showing how the Yemenites that was being enslaved and those that was enslaving them. And those Yemenites that was being enslaved back in, I think that was like the 12th century, look like you and I, dark like you and I. But anyway, so just to wrap this up, and we could close out with this here, Ezekiel 37. And I know all of you guys know this passage or read this passage. And if you grew up in church, you've been to a revival, and you know what passage they're going to pull out. Ezekiel 37. Even though they teach it out of the context, but just to give you proper perspective of where we are and how this lines up. Ezekiel 37, starting at verse 1 and 2, it reads, "The hand of Yahweh was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of Yahweh and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones." And for those that may not be familiar with ancient Hebrew, Yahweh, it means he exists. Yah, short form of his full name, but also it means he. And then you have Hawa, and you can look this up inside your Strongs and other Bible dictionaries, ancient Hebrew dictionaries. You'll see the word Hawa, which means to exist. So that's the combination, Yahweh, in other words, to exist. He exists, right? So the hand of Yahweh was upon me. And real quick, I said that for a reason, because we're going to have to understand Yahweh, he exists. And we're coming to that realization. Me and Benaiah discussed this earlier. And I'm just going to double back on something he and I, a collab we did almost a year ago, dealing with the, the eclipse. All right. So the hand of Yahweh was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of Yahweh and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones. Verse 2, and caused me to pass by them round about, and behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry. Ma'ad is interesting, right? Because the ancient Hebrew is ma'ad, because every letter is pronounced as a syllable. And it wasn't until the Babylonian captivity when they started dropping the ah at the end. In some cases, the double ah, because this would be ma'ah. But anyway, sounds like mad, right? Ma'ad, mad, right? So it says they were very ma'ad, dry, yabash, wath. Wath is the plural. So this means that it wasn't just a one-time thing. It was like on a regular, they were like going mad. And in a nutshell, this is saying confusion. That's simply what it means. So these bones were very dry. And the meaning of very dry, just going here, I didn't clean this up with these slides transitions. But anyway, as you see here, ma'ad, it says here, to by implication, wholly, speedily, exceedingly, right? Great. So it's saying that when it's saying that they're very mad, it's like it's at very dry. It's at an all-time high. There's something happening that's causing them to be very, very, very dry. And this is the Hebrew definition of dry, right? Yabash, it says, to be ashamed, confused, or disappointed, be confounded, shame, do shamefully. Now, why am I bringing this all together? Why am I bringing all this together? This is the valley of the dry bones. We see that the bones were scattered, which means that telling us they were scattered. It was which we are right now. In other words, broken into pieces, scattered. So Ezekiel is seeing Yah's people in such a high level of confusion, right? A high level of being ashamed, a high level of being disappointed. And why are we being disappointed? Because it seems as if everyone has turned their backs on us. Where are you going at with this, Pastor? I'm going to show you here real quick, right? There was a great confusion among these bones. And then when we go to verse 3, it says, and he said unto me, son of man, can these bones live? Kaya. And I answered, O Yahweh, thou, Atha, knowest, Yada or Yada'a, right? Because we have the ayan at the end. Can these bones be revived? That's what he was asked. Can these bones be restored? Can these bones be resurrected? And I'm not going to get into all of this, but you won't find the word resurrected in the Old Testament. They call the Old Testament the scriptures, right? Which is interesting. But anyway, the question is, the Most High is asking them, can these bones stand up again? Can these people rise up to life again? Can they be recovered? I mean, such a state of confusion, can they be recovered? Kaya, can they be revived? Give life, promise life, recover, repair, restore. Here's the kicker: be made whole. In other words, be healed in every aspect of our being. So can these bones be revived? All right. So let's fast forward here, verse 4, and then I'm gonna skip down to verse 11. And again, he said, unto me, prophesy, Naba'ah, right? Upon these bones, Atsam, Wath, and say unto them, O ye dry, Yabash, Wath, bones, hear, Shemai, some of you guys would say Shemai in the Israeli, the word, Dabar of Yahweh. Now listen to this. Let me fast forward because I'm not going to go into all of this. But look at verse 11. This is what really stands out. Then he said unto me, son of man, these bones are the whole house of Yashara'al, whole Kal, house Bayath of Yashara'al. Behold, they say, our bones are dried, our hope is lost, and we are cut off for our parts. Why is that important? Doesn't it seem like we're out here by ourselves? Doesn't it seem like as a people, we are all alone? Look at how we've been thrown up under the bus. During this election cycle, look at what the Spanish community did to us. Look at what all the communities, the Native Americans, look at all what not the original Aboriginal, I'm going to leave it at that, but look at what all the communities, and look at what they did to us, even those that look like you and I, right? And the FBA, look at how they threw us under the bus too. And we're the same people. But look at how every community threw us under the bus. Look at how we're treated around the world. Look at what some of our brothers and sisters are going through over in Africa, in some of these countries, with the properties and all kinds of stuff, being immigration, leaving. Look at all what they're going through. So we as a people, it's like we're cut off. We're cut off. Not like we're cut off. We are cut off. We at the butt end of the joke. Everything, if they want to rally cry, guess what? They point the finger at us and they stir up their own base, and their own base thinking they're fighting against us, and they smiting their own nose. And now they're saying, where are the blacks? They're not out here marching with us. I'm gonna upload a video tomorrow. Got a Spanish guy talking with his sister, a powerful conversation. And guess what? He's Spanish. He said he got Spanish people coming up to him saying, where are the black people? And he said he had to remind them, look at what we did to them. We left them hanging. They've been trying to warn us. And now you want them to come and clean us up. That's always been the playbook. Right? But when we say we sitting out, doesn't mean we sit out and don't do nothing within our community. Like Benaiah pointed out. So how does this all tie to, and I'll let Benaiah bring the point in, the battle of Gog and Magog, right? Gog and Magog. If you do the study, and I have the lessons here, I'm not going to go into the details, you'll see a name called Meshach and Tobolux. That's Russia, family. That's Moscow. And I know some of our brothers and sisters, even in this awakening, was giving Putin all kinds of big ups. I don't trust, like we say back home, none of them. You know what I mean? We trust none of them. I don't trust none of them. Same wings, two wings on the same bird. Don't trust none of them. Right? So look at the good cop, bad cop that happened. Trump embarrasses the president of South Africa. Now, Putin rallying many of the African countries saying, hey, we're not going to treat you like Trump. We're going to protect you from Trump. And they buddy-buddy. They all buddy-buddy. Elon Musk, all of them buddy-buddy. All these billionaires, from Belzo, all these guys, they all billionaires. They all in cahoots with each other. So again, we're cut off for our parts. Any comments, cuz, as we get ready to wrap up?
No, it's a nail on the head, cuz. Nail on the head. So just prophecy has to come to pass. You just gotta, believe in the Most High will, that will, by His grace and mercy, that will endure to the end.
Absolutely. And you said it right. Said it a perfect point. You said it no better. We have to endure to the end, family. We can't even look for shortcuts. The only, if we want to call it a shortcut, is going straight to Yah. We can't look for systems of men to bail us out. And that's what we've been conditioned to do, kind of like what Benaiah is doing, a powerful series on sugar. The systems of men is like our spiritual sugar. And we don't know how to function if it seems like it's being pulled away from us. So we're in a state of confusion right now, family, because we're realizing that we can't depend on anyone. We can't depend on anyone but Yah. And that's what's going to get us to the end. In other words, enduring to the end. We still have to function. You still have to do your day-to-day stuff. You can't just sit in a place and not do anything. So with that being said, any final words you want to share, Benaiah?
Yeah, no, I just encourage anyone that joined late to go back and just watch the beginning part where we was just talking about these pieces that are being put in place by the president, or by I'll say the powers that be, because I think that these moves are beyond any president. I just think that it's much bigger than that. But yeah, these moves that are being put in place, especially these next these last little pieces, you can see where they're going with it, and definitely need to be prayed up. Pray for the Most High to direct us and guide us, because just place these travel restrictions on these 12 countries, and you think well, hey, these are just 12 random countries, but these are 12 countries, especially the ones that go right across that midsection of Africa that goes right across Negro land, right across the Sudan, right across the places where Israel is. So, and you have to ask yourself, why are they preventing people from leaving those places where Israel resided or resides and coming back to America? At the same time, they're deporting people to those places, to Sudan and to Libya. So, yeah, definitely pray up, family. There's going to be some interesting times. And yeah, thanks, Pastor Kelly, for bringing this out. This is awesome.
Oh, thank you, Benaiah, for pushing me. I was about to get in lazy mode. So, thank you, because this is urgent information that we couldn't delay. And that's truly being a watchman. So I was sleeping on the job. So I really appreciate you for provoking me, to let's talk about it. So really appreciate it. And not only talk about it, I believe we did a great presentation, and I believe the people was edified by it. So family, go to Benaiah channel, Benaiah Israel, and he's got some great stuff there, and he's doing a series on sugar, how it affects the body, the dependency on it. Really go peep that out, family, if you haven't already. But with that being said, and also be on the lookout for the conference coming up in July down in Savannah. We're going to talk about that more, and I'm going to make sure that I put some animations here in the upcoming lives, so that way we can use that as a refresh for you guys. So with that being said, I'm going to play the announcement for us, the news. That clip that I played earlier with the banning of the 12 tribes. And then from there, I'll close out like how we normally close out. So with that being said, in the words of the Most High that he gave to Israel in Exodus chapter 13 and 14, when they came up against a stumbling block, or what seemed to be a dead end, and they began to complain, they began to panic, they were confused. And so the Most High gave Moses these encouraging words. He told them to fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, they will never have power over you again. The Most High will fight for us, but we have to hold our peace. The Hebrew word that's there for peace is charash, which means be quiet. Can't go back, can't stay here. Keep moving forward. Shalom.
Breaking news out of the White House right now. President Trump has once again announced a travel ban. Now, apparently this is similar to the one he enacted during his first term in office. We are still combing through a lot of the details here, but it looks like he just signed an executive order either restricting or limiting nationals from 12 different countries. They are, and we're reading this as we speak here, Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Congo, Equatorial New Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. And again, this is all just coming in from the White House right now. So we're combing through it. But apparently this looks like it may go into effect on Monday. We have also been told that the president has been considering this for some time, but has expedited this after the attack that we saw from a suspect in Boulder, Colorado. And so it does look like that timeline has been accelerated. Again, just looking through this pretty large release that just came from the White House. We're trying to gather a little bit more information, but he also appears to be restricting access from some other places. Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. Those are restrictions that distinguish between but apply to both the entry of immigrants and non-immigrants. So quite the number of countries. 12 countries are on this ban, and then 7 other countries will see limited restrictions as well. And then sections 2 and 3 of this proclamation apparently has to do with identity management. And he is saying that there were some identity management issues that have come up during this administration that he has found to be inadequate.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10.
explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was the... Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.